Now next is we are going to implement add student feature end to end. Okay, great. So basically we are going to add a button over here just right below list students page heading, and once we click on add student button, it should navigate to create new student page. Alright, let's go ahead and let's add a button first. Alright, so let me comment out this code because we have already added 3 records to the MySQL database. And go to students.html file. So let me stop this server. Okay, and just right below this heading we are going to add a button, right? So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one more div here, and let me add a bootstrap css class that is a row, and then I'm going to add one more div here, and let's say column. I'm going to just use a bootstrap css grid system to provide a size for the page. And here I'm going to create a anchor tag, and I'm going to use th:/href thymlib attribute to provide a link for this button. So remember, this is the syntax to provide a link for anchor tag using thymlib attribute. So at followed by curly braces, within curly braces we provide the URL that is students new. Okay, so this is the request URL that we are going to handle in student controller bit later. And then let's add a bootstrap css class here, that is button, and then button primary, and then button small. Okay, and margin bottom 3, and let's give button name as add student. Okay, and we are going to handle this request in student controller. For that we are going to write a handler method here. Just go ahead and create a method, create student form is a method name, and let's annotate this method with @getMapping annotation, and just provide the URL that is /students/new, and we're going to pass a model object as a method argument. Okay, and here we're going to create an object of student class here, student equals to new student. We are going to create a empty student object here, and this is a very important step. We create here empty student object to hold a student form data. Okay, create student object to hold student form data. Okay, perfect. Now we're going to add this data to the model dot add attribute, and the key is student. So the key is student, and the value is the empty student object. Okay, and just return the view that is create underscore student. So this view we haven't created yet, that we are going to create it right away, create underscore student. Okay, so go ahead and create this view now. So go to the templates folder, right click on templates folder, new, and then choose other and search for HTML file, and just provide this file name as create_student.html, hit enter. Okay, now go to the students.html file, and let's copy this bootstrap css link and also the title. Okay, and just replace title with this copied content, and go to students.html again and just copy this link and just paste it here, and go to the body and just add a div here, and the bootstrap CSS class, that is container, and then create a one more div. Okay, and let's add a bootstrap CSS class, that is a row. Okay, and then create a one more div, and the bootstrap CSS class. So look at here, we have added a couple of bootstrap CSS classes. So we have added these three classes to support the different devices: large device, mid-size device, and small device. And this is the bootstrap CSS class to align the format center, and we are going to add a border to the form. That's why I have used CRUD bootstrap CSS class here. Okay, now we are going to add a heading to this page. For that, I'm going to use h1 tag here, something like create new student, and we are going to align this heading at a center. For that, we are going to use bootstrap CSS class, that is text center. And after that, we're going to use a div here once again, and let's add a bootstrap CSS class, that is card body. And within this div, we are going to create a form. Okay, form. And look at here, we are going to use TimeLeap attribute, that is th::action, to define the action for this column. Okay, so action is the request URL we define here. So remember here, at represents the context path of your application, and context path is nothing but your application name. Okay, so TimeLeap needs this symbol to refer to your context path of your application. And then within a curly braces, we just specify the request URL, and after that th::object, and here we access the empty student object that we have added in a controller. In order to access that object, we are going to use TimeLeap syntax $ within a curly braces student. Okay, so this student object we have provided in a student controller here. Okay, we have added to the model, and in order to access this empty student object, we have used th::object, and then $ within curly braces we have provided the object name. Alright, and we are going to add a method, that is post. Alright, it's pretty much. Now what we're going to do is we're going to design the form now. So let's add a div here, my bootstrap CSS class, that is form group. Okay, and then add a label here. Label is student first name, and then input text field. Okay, type is text, and then name equals to first name, and th::field equals to first name, and then placeholder enter student first name. So remember, this is very important, th::field. So this is again a TimeLeap attribute that we are going to bind this input text to the post name, and this post name should equals to the post name field that we define in a student class. Okay, this field first name should match to this post name string. Okay, so basically TimeLeap will bind a value to this model attribute, that is first name. And here we are going to provide a bootstrap CSS class for this HTML element, that is form control. Alright, great. Now let me simply copy this and paste it here, and let's change the student post name to student last name, and here also from post name to last name, and here also from post name to last name, and here also enter student last name. Okay, pretty simple. Let me just copy this, and let's similarly add for email. This is student email, and name should be email, and field should be email, and enter student email. Okay, now right after this div we are going to add a submit button. For that, div class, and here we are going to add a bootstrap CSS class, that is footer body, and within that we are going to add a button. Okay, button of type submit, and let's add a bootstrap CSS classes button and button primary, and let's give button name as submit. Okay, so this bootstrap CSS class is not exist. I think the box footer is the bootstrap CSS class name. Okay, just make this small change. Okay, so once we enter all the details in a form and then submit, then we need to handle this request, right? In order to handle this request, we need to create a handler method. So let's go to student controller, and here we're going to write a handler method to handle this form request. So go to student controller, and here create a method public string, and let's call it as save student. Okay, and let's annotate this method with @post mapping annotation, and let's define the URL, that is /students. Okay, and we are going to use @model attribute annotation to directly bind a form data to the object. The object is student, and we are going to bind to student entity. Okay, okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to save this student object to the database. For that, we're going to call student service, and let's call its method save student. So we haven't created save student method yet, so go to student service interface, and here we're going to create save student method save student, and we are going to pass student object as a method argument, and let's implement this method in student service impl class. Okay, get rid of this comment, and here we're going to call student repository and then save student. That's it, and let's go back to our student controller again, and here we are going to call student repository, not student repository, student service, and then call its method, that is save student, and just pass student object to it. Perfect. And now here we are going to return, basically we are going to redirect to students page. So once user successfully add a student, then we need to redirect to students page, right? So for that we are going to write here the statement like redirect to students page, and students page means here for this request. Okay, so after executing this method, it will redirect to this method handler. Alright guys, let me quickly run our Spring Boot application and let's see how it works. Perfect, our Spring Boot application is up and running. Let's head over to Chrome browser and let's refresh and there we go. Add student button looks good, so just click on add student. And I think there is a small issue. Let me see what is the issue. Post name is not valid. Okay, yeah, so look at here, the exception clearly mentioned, like we have used dollar and curly braces. Basically, in order to bind the input text, we have to use star curly braces. Okay, all right, let's head over to STSID and let's fix this issue. So go back to create student.html. So typically we have to use here star and within a curly braces first name. So this is the syntax to bind data to the model attribute first name. And similarly, let's do it for last name, star and within a curly braces last name. And similarly, email, star within a curly braces email. And let's save the file and let's go back to the browser and let's refresh this link, and there we go. Create new student form displays, and now we are going to add a student. For example, let's say John, last name something like Sina, and then student@gmail.com, and click on submit, and there we go. A student is successfully added to the list. Let me go ahead and let me add one more student. Let's say Ram Jadhav, ram@gmail.com, and click on submit, and there we go. The record is successfully added to the list. It means that we have successfully implemented add student feature. Alright, so far we have implemented list students feature and add students feature. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a header to our student management application. In order to add a header, just go to Google, okay, and we're going to use a Bootstrap for navbar, okay, and hit enter and go to W3 schools. Alright, and just scroll down and scroll down and look at here. This is a collapsing the navigation bar, and it supports multiple devices. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's copy this code snippet, and this is a code snippet that we are going to use, and this is how the header looks like. Okay, so go ahead and open students.html file, and within a body, just body tag, paste it. Okay, and this is the brand name, so let me give brand name as student management system. Alright, and let's add a navigation to navigate to the students page. For that, let's use timelib attribute here, th:/href, and at students. All right, so here at represents a reference to context path of your application. In our case, this is project name and followed by slash and then students, and here we are going to use student management, something like that. And let's remove these two links. Okay, and let's copy this nav tag and go to create student.html page, and just below body paste it here and save it. And let's go back to the browser and just refresh, and let's see how it looks like. Yeah, it looks good, right? And go to create new student page, and look at here. Here we need to add some breakpoints, so let's go back to our application, and inside create student.html, just below nav tag, we're gonna add some breakpoint here, some break tags, save it, and let's go back to the browser and just refresh, and here we go, it looks good now. So once you click on student management here link, it will navigate to the list students page. We have successfully added header.